YouTubers. I'm really hoping that I can get through this. I'm not feeling very well, but I have some vitamin water here mixed with horchata, so I'm hoping that that helps. The topic of this video is it can happen to anyone. A phantom and cryptic pregnancy can happen to anybody. We're mostly going to get into phantom pregnancy in this video and the fact that it can happen to anybody. But a real cryptic pregnancy can also happen to anybody. The fact that you can go 20 weeks or longer without realizing that you are in fact pregnant can happen to anybody. There's no certain personality, there's no behavior or certain upbringing or any of those factors that can make somebody more susceptible to something like that happening to them. But in this video, we're going to go deep into how phantom pregnancy can happen to anyone. So in general, people with pseudocyesis usually have intense desires to become pregnant, dread the thought of it happening, or have such intense physical symptoms daily that pregnancy is the only thing that they believe could be the answer. And with that happening, or any of these things happening, would constantly look for signs or symptoms to confirm these feelings or these fears. When this happens, the body will send out pregnancy signs because of their emotional state and increased production of hormones, which causes the physical changes that would occur in an actual pregnancy. In this case, the brain would misinterpret the signs or symptoms as a viable conception, resulting in pregnancy, and the body will follow. So simply put, your body believes everything that the mind or brain tells it. Anything and everything that your brain or your mind is telling your body is believing. So if you're telling your body you're pregnant, your body will believe you're pregnant. It will give you signs and symptoms of pregnancy because it will produce those hormones. If you're telling your body that you're sick, your body will become sick. You can say, oh, I have a UTI, I have a UTI. You will start to experience symptoms of a UTI. Your body believes your mind. So symptoms of phantom pregnancy could be any and all of them. Anything under the sun, anything you can think of, because a lot of the symptoms are produced by the hormones. You can have all the typical pregnancy symptoms that you've had with previous pregnancies. If this is your first pregnancy experience, then you can experience any and all of the symptoms that are associated that you've read about or heard about from your mother or your grandmother or your sister or your aunt or whoever. So you can get any kind of symptom with a phantom pregnancy because your body believes that it's a real pregnancy. So it's going to produce those real hormones. It is very important for you to be able to differentiate a real pregnancy from a false one because you could experience several physical symptoms that mimic pregnancy. So as a woman, you have to be able to differentiate, tell the difference between a real pregnancy from a false one. You have to tell the difference between the symptoms that you're experiencing versus symptoms that you experience on a monthly basis.
Record CPPP video at 1:30 p.m.
I'm supposed to record this video. Sorry, that's so loud. I do apologize. So I'm reading my notes down here so that I'm not missing anything. And so that this video goes a little bit quicker. Yeah, so as a woman, you have to be able to tell the difference between symptoms that you experience all the time and symptoms of pregnancy. And most of the time, they're exactly the same. A lot of women don't even realize they're pregnant until they either get a positive on a pregnancy test, or they go to a doctor and the doctor tells them they're pregnant, or they deliver. But, you know, a lot of women will be like, let me take this test, and they figure out that they're pregnant. Doctors have only recently, and even then, I still can't really verify this. This is just something that I've read in articles, that doctors have started to research the physical and psychological issues which trigger pseudocyesis. So the exact causes are still not known. I don't know how much of that is true. I'm not really sure what doctors are even studying this or who they're studying, and I would love to know that information if anybody has that information. However, it is important to note that even though it is said that the medical field is thought to be researching this very important and interesting subject, somehow the term diagnosis of pseudocyesis is being left out of recent medical textbooks, which is a big deal. I don't know why they would leave something like this out. It's physical and it's mental. This is said to be happening because of the use of technology in confirmation of pregnancy. So they're saying that the reason why a lot of people aren't teaching about it in medical school, or it's not being it's not being mentioned in textbooks, is because we have the use of technology like pregnancy tests or ultrasounds to confirm a pregnancy pretty early on. And so the likelihood of a phantom pregnancy developing is non-existent, or like slim to none, which is not the case, because the information that you find online and the inconsistencies you find with the information through pregnancy tests, you can find that a lot of women don't really trust pregnancy tests. A lot of women don't really trust blood tests. However, I believe that pseudocyesis is to be much more common than formally reported, as many women are not asked if they've ever experienced during routine doctor's visits or physicals. So during like a regular doctor's visit, you're not asked, have you ever experienced a phantom pregnancy? So how would they even know who like reports this information when they get their statistics? How many women are really coming forward and saying, hey, I experienced a false pregnancy for so and so months? Not very many, I can assure you that. I can say for sure my phantom pregnancy was not counted or recorded on anything. When I went and got my negative ultrasound, my doctor told me I was not pregnant, sent me on my way. There was no, like, she didn't like, oh, she thought she had a phantom pregnancy, let's put this in the books or record this, count her, whatever. Because she didn't even recommend any kind of treatment for me, as far as believing or experiencing a false pregnancy. Some doctors think that psychological factors such as the inability to conceive or the trauma of a miscarriage, missed miscarriage, or blunted ovum can trick your body into believing that it is pregnant. And I that's pretty accurate to me. There's been quite a few women who've come forward after a miscarriage or a missed miscarriage, and they experienced a phantom pregnancy shortly thereafter. There are some researchers who suggest that poverty, relationship problems, childhood sex abuse, lack of education, hormone replacement therapy, birth control, and even eating meat and dairy may help to trigger false pregnancy. In order to determine if you are actually experiencing symptoms related to a false pregnancy or rule out a viable pregnancy, your doctor will evaluate the symptoms as well as do an abdominal ultrasound, urinalysis, blood work, and a pelvic exam. If they don't do these things, you need to ask them to do these things. Especially a pelvic exam, you want them to touch your abdomen. You want them to check to make sure your uterus and all of those things, just to give you reassurance that they really truly are checking for pregnancy, and they're not just blowing you off. And if you do feel blown off, you need to call them out. You need to say, hey, can you please give me a physical? Can you please touch my abdomen? can you, and even if they say, oh, well, it's too early, I would still say, well, I insist. I want you to at least check to see if you feel anything abnormal in that area. Yeah, right. And so these are the same tests that your doctor would use to feel, track, envision, and measure the unborn baby in a normal pregnancy. So these are things you're going to want, or they're just routine. It's routine. So keep in mind that the ultrasound will not show a baby or a fetal heartbeat if you have a false pregnancy. So if there's no baby in your uterus, there will be no baby and it will show no fetal heartbeat. If there is a baby, there will be a fetal heartbeat and there will be bones or some kind of a skeleton structure. You should be able to tell a head from a body and from appendages. Mom. Yes. However, there are times when doctors find some physical changes which occur in pregnancy that will occur in a phantom pregnancy, such as a soft cervix or an enlarged uterus. It may become slightly enlarged because it will hold on to blood or become engorged. The urine pregnancy test results could possibly show a positive for pregnancy, as well as in some rare cases for cancer, which produce hormones similar to pregnancy hormones. In this case, a physical exam and palpation of the uterus and fetal parts can help determine if the woman is in fact pregnant, as well as an ultrasound. So if a woman with a phantom pregnancy does test positive on a pregnancy test, there are additional things that need to happen to confirm the pregnancy besides a positive pregnancy test. There are also some medical conditions that could mimic pregnancy symptoms, including morbid obesity, ectopic pregnancy, blunted ovum, food intolerance, digestive issues, blocked lymphatic system, and cancer. Your doctor would do the necessary tests to rule out those conditions, and that's part of a routine checkup. If you're complaining of, most of the pregnancy symptoms that you complain about could fall into the category of many different diseases, conditions, and illnesses. So the doctor really has to do a lot of testing to rule out any of those things or a lot of those things. So this condition, the condition of a phantom pregnancy, the psychological condition of a phantom pregnancy, can happen to anyone without any discrimination. There is no... It can happen to anyone from any country, background, age, range, race, ethnicity, gender, social status. It can happen to anyone in every type of lifestyle or diet choice. It can happen to anyone from any religion, belief system, ethical background, moral background, or walk of life. Any person. During my research, I have found that many people assume that it takes a certain personality or a certain mentality or a certain event to trigger a phantom pregnancy for a woman or a person. But this is untrue. And simply put, it's an outdated way of thinking about any condition. This condition can happen to any person. It can happen to man, woman, child. It can happen to anybody in, like I said, any social status, any age range, any ethnicity, any gender. It can happen to anybody. Anybody can become obsessed or even consumed by an idea or a fear of an idea, the fear of something happening, and actually start to feel those physical symptoms. It happens to many different people all over the world when they start to study different illnesses and things like that. If you've ever Googled anything or any kind of symptom and your cancer pops up, and then you're like, oh no, and you become obsessed with this, and then more symptoms pop up, and then more symptoms pop up, and then yeah, it happens to everybody. And pregnancy, the growing belly, everything that comes with pregnancy, including fetal movement, it can happen to anyone at any time for any reason, and it's up to that person to be able to tell the difference between a real pregnancy and a false pregnancy. So I hope this helped answer some questions. 1 second. Okay, I got rid of the noise in the background. Phew. So I hope this helped answer some questions. I hope this cleared up some misconceptions about phantom pregnancy, pseudocyesis, false pregnancy, hysterical pregnancy, whatever you want to call it. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, please leave comments below. I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be well, be healthy, stay blessed, friends. Bye.